The American ambassador to the UK, Woody Johnson. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, we've invited you in to have a chat about a rather important visit that's happening very soon. The President, United States President Donald Trump, is going to be travelling to the UK in a matter of just weeks. You, no doubt, been very much involved in the plans for that trip. He's going to meet the Queen, we're told. The itinerary not completely finalised, but how important is it that Donald Trump visits the UK?
I think it's extremely important. I think it's extremely important that the President of the United States comes to Britain and steps foot on the land and shows his support for the country. No matter what happens to Brexit, no matter what happens to anything, our relationship, the relationship between the U.S. and this country are stronger than ever.
How important is it to him? Because we know that he's very keen to meet the Queen. He's a big fan of the Queen. He knows, his mother's always been a big royalist. Would he be coming if tea with the Queen wasn't an option?
No, his schedule's still a little bit up in the air, but I think a visit to the Queen is very important to the President, as it would be for anybody, because she's the head of state. So it's a normal protocol, and I know he's looking forward to it, and I know he's looking forward to coming here.
Is he going to meet any other royals? What about Prince Harry and Meghan? Meghan's not been a big fan of
This is going to be
the
scheduling is still up in the air a little bit, but yeah, very short trip.
No time to meet Meghan.
Well, we'll see.
So there's a lot of talk of protests being held against him when he arrives, and indeed the planned trip a number of times has been put off and even cancelled. It looked like at one point because of the prospect of major protests, particularly in London. Will the protests have any effect on Donald Trump? What will he make of them?
I don't think so, and I don't think the aspect of a protest was ever a relevant factor in terms of coming or not coming. But yeah, I mean that's all part of it. He's used to contrary opinions of one thing or another, and he's comfortable in where he wants to take the country and the road he's leading everybody, including the worldwide.
You're saying he won't be remotely bothered by lots of people chanting against him on the streets?
I don't think there will be a lot of people chanting, I would suspect. But I think he's used to people disagreeing with him, and he's very comfortable presenting his own point of view and presenting it in front of large audiences, as you've seen, just recently in Nevada.
What's your message as his representative in the UK to those protesters, those planning to protest against the American president visiting?
I think together, this country and the U.S. are much, much stronger and much more prosperous when we're doing things together, as we've done for 100 years and more. And so looking at what the success the president's had in the U.S. with the economy, with defense, with really everything is done. The economy is growing, and the consumer confidence is at all-time highs. It's something that we could learn over here. We could take some of those lessons that he's done so rapidly and bring them to Britain, and I think you'd see similar results.
And this special relationship we hear so much about, he's been having a bit of a love-in with Emmanuel Macron, the French president, when he went over on a state visit. He certainly gives a lot of praise to the likes of Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, even the Philippine president, Rodrigo Duterte. What does he make of Theresa May, and what does he think of the special relationship?
Well, I think you mentioned a lot of names. It's a big world out there, and the relationships are all important. But this is a special relationship, and the relationship with the UK, not only his mother, but just the American relationship is very, very important, and one that he's going to work on very hard.
Then why has he slapped tariffs on us and the rest of the EU and other allies like Canada? I mean, if we are the special relationship, if we are all allies, why has he started a trade war? I mean, part of your job as ambassadors to promote trade and business.
There's a relationship has a lot of different ingredients, and the aluminum and steel is a very, very infinitesimal part of actual trade with the U.S., and it's something that the president thinks is very important for national security of the U.S. to keep those industries afloat in time of war. So we want the capacity to do that, and that's why he put those tariffs on. But it's something that hopefully we can resolve it with a bilateral trade agreement that the president's very anxious to get into when Brexit finally takes place.
So you're saying that you think that the tariff war is going to be sort of over before it starts, even though it has already started.
Well,
and is already
I mean,
taking
I think you
effect.
talked about steel and aluminum, and I think if you put that in perspective of our entire trade relationship, it's a minor thing.
Okay, well, you talked about a trade deal. Of course, President Obama famously during the Brexit referendum campaign said we were back of the queue, and a lot of people very unhappy about that. It looked like that
Right.
actually boosted the Leave vote rather than the Remain vote. What is the prospect of a free trade deal and an end to tariffs between the United States and the UK once
I
we
think
get
it's
to the EU?
extremely positive. The president has said that, and I know he means it, and he's very excited to come over here. He'd love to talk a trade deal when he's over here.
Is
but
that the purpose of the visit?
No, I mean, I think the purpose of the visit is to step foot on the land here in London and make whatever rounds he decides to make, and that are in the schedule. And then talking about a bilateral trade agreement is something that's got everybody excited, and it will happen rapidly.
I mean, from the things that Donald Trump's had to say, particularly after meeting Kim Jong-un and before and after that meeting and other meetings he's had with national leaders, he does seem to go very much on his personal intuition, on his feeling he gets about people, whether he sort of gets a good vibe or something from them. What should Theresa May do to establish and cement good relations with Donald Trump? She, of course, was critical of the child migrant issue, which we'll come on to in just a moment. But what can she do to get onto Donald Trump's good side? You've known him for many, many years. You go back decades in New York.
I've known him for a long time.
What could she do?
Well, first of all, going back to the instinct, I think he does have, and always has had for 35 years, I've known him, an amazing instinct. But if you look at the team, for instance, that was put together for North Korea, you'll see a large team made up of a lot of Koreans, a lot of locals and native people that really understood the culture. So it's intuition based on having collected an incredible amount of information to inform that intuition, and then having which is what any CEO does and what any president does, is assimilate all that information and then come up with, based on, you can call it intuition or assemblage of data, and come up with the right answer.
She shouldn't just flatter him. He seems to respond very well to flattery. Or perhaps become a totalitarian leader. He seems to have a lot of time for the Kim Jong-uns and the Vladimir Putins of this world.
Well, those are the major hotspots of the world right now. Fortunately, the UK isn't one of those hotspots, and I don't think that's its aspiration either. But, yeah, I mean, I think that Theresa May has to go down this path as she sees fit, and, listen to her own instincts as well in terms of how to navigate Brexit and how to navigate defense and how to navigate all these issues that she has to deal with as Prime Minister.
Do you think she's doing a good job?
I think she actually is doing a good job. She
Why?
is. Slow and steady. I hope that it comes to a conclusion rapidly, because Brexit, just hanging out there is very is deleterious to business and to the people who voted for it. They want to see a conclusion, and 2 years. It's coming on 2 years now. It's time to move.
The Brexit vote anniversary was on Saturday. There was a big
Right.
protest march against it by 100,000 people, though not quite the same as 17.4 million people who voted for it. But your country, of course, marks US Independence Day on the 4th of July. You always hold a big bash at your residence in central London. First of all, do you think Brexit was the right decision? And do you think that we as a nation should, like you, celebrate that day, 23rd of June 2016, as our Independence Day?
Yeah, I haven't thought of it in those terms, but actually that's kind of interesting. Yeah, we celebrate 4th of July, and whether you celebrate Brexit, I think you're going to have to wait a few years to see. Maybe a couple of years, 10 years, maybe to see.
You don't know whether it was the right decision or not.
It's a decision they made, so I assume it's right, because the people usually make the right decision.
Do you think the government's going to make the right decision on Heathrow? We're talking about trade, talking about business. How important do you think that is?
About the airport? That's got a lot of there's a lot of controversy surrounding adding another airstrip. That's something you're going to have to work out.
Well, the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson is a way. Well, now you come across Boris Johnson a number of occasions in your role as a diplomat, one of the most senior diplomats in the country. Do you know where Boris Johnson is today? Because no one else seems to.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think he had very important business. Yeah, I mean, it's a controversial issue. Airports always are. We need airports, and we need transportation. So, but it's going to have to be weighed against what the local people feel.
Okay, well, let's talk about things back at home in the United States. As I said, you've known Donald Trump for many years. You met back in the early 80s in New York. I think one of the first people you met in New York. You're good friends. You've been a Republican donor for many years, although he wasn't your first choice for president. I think you were supporting Jeb Bush originally. What do you make of the latest row that Donald Trump, I mean, it is the latest because it does seem to be row after row after row, but the issue over the treatment of migrant children on the American-Mexican border. Are you proud to be Donald Trump's representative abroad when you read about children as young, and as it emerged over the weekend, as 3 months old, not even 3 years old, 3 months old, being taken from their parents?
Okay,
After
well,
they
I'll
arrive
take
in the
that.
United
I'll take
States.
that in a few segments. Am I proud to be his representative in the UK? Absolutely, it's the greatest honor of my life, and I agree with Donald Trump on 99.9% of what he stands for and what he's done. This issue with migrant children is a very emotional issue, and it's the result of many years of really the Congress not addressing immigration in a consolidated and really compassionate way. So I think the president has signed an executive order to unite them, but the problem is still going to exist until we have immigration reform, and that's what he's working for, and we hope we can, maybe not this term, but next term, really address that.
But you're a father. He's a father.
No, I know. This is very
children
emotional.
From
I know.
people, whether they're breaking the law or not.
Listen, I'm in the baby business, in terms of my family. We've been making baby products, so there's nobody that's...
So you're the heir to the Johnson & Johnson
Well, not heir
empire.
to it, but, my family worked in it for many years, and so the relationship between mother and child and father and child is something that I think I have some understanding. And so I know it's important, I know it's emotional, and it's something that we're going to have to fix, and we are going to fix it, and the president will fix it.
There are other times when Donald Trump's got himself into trouble. Certainly here, he's been in a bit of a battle, a war of words, certainly on Twitter with the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan. Of course, you have brand new offices, huge new, very beautiful, been a tour around the US Embassy on the south bank of the River Thames. But your boss, Donald Trump, got into a war of words with Sadiq Khan over how dangerous London in particular was in the wake of terrorism and indeed knife crime and issues like that. Have you had words with the London mayor about Donald Trump's comments about this great city?
Well, I saw the mayor a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and we didn't actually talk about Donald Trump and the president.
Did you kind of both choose to skirt around the issue?
Yeah, I mean, the mayor's doing his job and the president's doing his jobs. They will occasionally disagree, maybe on various assets or facts or whatever, but hopefully that's in the past.
Okay, and now tonight is the first instalment of a documentary on Channel 4. They're actually filming in the studio. Hello to you, inside the American Embassy. Yeah. Why did you decide to do interviews, to have the documentary inside? What's the purpose of this?
Well, the purpose of this is really to take a look at what happens in these buildings called embassies around the world. And we're the first to have tackled this and go behind the scenes and really look for the people here and also for the Americans, what goes on in the consular section and all the departments of the U.S. government that are represented in the embassy and what they do on a daily basis. So I think it's going to be extremely interesting.
I'm saying I've seen some clips. It looks like a very good. Now, finally, I have to ask you. I know you love your sport. You were the owner of the New York Jets, an American football team in New York. But I'm wondering how much you enjoy. Let's be honest, proper football, the football that the rest of the world plays, playing in the World Cup right now. Have you been watching the World Cup?
I have, and I'm starting to get actually to like it. It's a little bit long. It's 45 minutes at a pop. At a go without a break to get a hot dog or a hamburger or food or talk to your friends. So, I mean, that's the big difference. And you can't take your eyes off for 1 second because there's really no replays. And you might miss the only goal.
Well, not yesterday. There were 7 goals.
No, yesterday they played okay.
Given that America aren't playing in the World Cup, are you supporting England?
Yeah, it would be great.
Do you think we could win it?
Do I think what?
We could win the World Cup?
The Americans?
No, you can't. You have no.
Oh,
You're
no,
not in
no,
the World Cup. You didn't qualify.
No,
What
no,
about
I thought you
England?
said-
When
oh,
I say we, I mean here.
Oh, yeah, we. Well,
You're one of
I
us
just
now,
assumed
would
you're
you?
American. Yes, absolutely. I think you will win it.
There's hope for us. He's more positive than the rest of the country. Just finally, Woody Johnson. I mean, you say you did meet Donald Trump way back in the 1980s. You've known him for years. You're good friends. It's very much a personal appointment, this job. Guys, why do you think Donald Trump wanted to be president?
That's an interesting question. He's talked about it for years. He even talked about it when he was in his 30s. So that was quite a while ago. I think he saw the country going in a direction that the leadership was incapable of changing for political reasons. It's just like the way he's handling trade now. These are issues should have been addressed years ago. And as he pointed out in G7, he's not blaming the current leaders for this problem. He's not blaming them for taking the position that they've taken. But he says these decisions were made decades ago, and nobody had the courage before a midterm election or general election to actually confront these issues. And so he said, being president, I can actually do those things because I have no fear. I can be president. If I'm a one-termer, so what? I'm going to go in. I'm going to try to make a difference. And the evidence is there. That he's taken a lot of courageous steps that you don't learn in how to be a president school. You know, these are really, really courageous because he's coming up to a midterm election. So my hat's off to him.
Okay, Woody Johnson, Ambassador Woody Johnson, American Ambassador to the UK. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.